The following program is brought to you by Arlington Community Media, where we tell your story.
This is ACMi News, recognized nationwide as the first place winner of the 2023 Hometown Media Award for News Access. The MBTA Communities Working Group holds its latest meeting after getting feedback recently from the public. One thing is certain, the map is being tweaked and opinions are varied. We'll let you know where this massive project stands this week. It's hoped that motorists will slow down and bicyclists will feel a lot safer along Medford Street. This after the Select Board approves a plan to install bike lanes and remove some on-street parking spots. We have an update. Arlington sculptor Cyrus Dallin's love for the West shows with his stunning sculptures of North America's indigenous peoples that are on display nationwide, including the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. That love also applies to spirituality, a love that is shared both in Utah, Dallin's birthplace, and Arlington, Dallin's adoptive home. ACMi News is next.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered, giving you stories that count from people who care. Reliable, trustworthy, dependable. This is the nationwide award-winning ACMi News.
Hello, I'm TJ Brosnan.
And I'm Lauren Cochio. Glad you could join us. There's no doubt that in this high-tech world in which we find ourselves, scams are everywhere. And once again, Arlington has been hit with yet another one. This time, it's your phone. According to Arlington Police Captain Richard Flynn, the scammers are using the town's business lines to tell residents they have a warrant for their arrest. The scammer is spoofing the business lines, then is demanding the receiver's personal information, including their social security number. Police are urging residents who receive this call to hang up immediately and not give out any personal information.
So it seems to change from month to month, and now what we seem to be going through is a period of time where they're spoofing numbers, whether it could be, different departments in town, they've spoofed their numbers. That's where they will go and use a computer program so that the phone number that shows up on a person's phone might say Arlington Police Department or Health and Human Services, a division from town, and then they'll have their spiel. And, in the end, they're basically trying to get money out of people. So, that on top of the, calling and saying that they'll clear up your computer for viruses or come by and fix your driveway or what have you, it's just kind of one scam after another. We ask people to cut those conversations short and call the police department. And we'll be glad to talk, and we'll be able to, a lot of times we can tell someone, yeah, that's probably not an accurate call, or that's someone who's trying to get personal information and they're trying to get money from you. So take a moment and just take those calls for what they are.
If you feel like you're the target of a scammer, even if you're not sure, hang up and call Arlington Police at 781-643-1212. Again, that number is 781-643-1212.
Christine Bongiorno, Arlington's Director of Health and Human Services, will be taking on a new role in the coming weeks. According to her LinkedIn post, she'll be Arlington's new Deputy Town Manager of Operations. In her post, Bongiorno says, "I have enjoyed serving the town of Arlington as the Director of Health and Human Services over the course of the past 18 years with an amazing team. We have led our community through 2 pandemics, built a sustainable mental health counseling center, worked on substance use prevention, homelessness, public health regionalization, built a new community center, promoted veterans programs, and started a DEI division." She goes on to say she's worked with some of the most innovative and brightest people in the field. The Deputy Town Manager's job was most recently held by Arlington's current Town Manager, James Feeney.
The MBTA Communities Working Group continues to review and revise the draft map to pinpoint just where additional multifamily housing could soon be located in Arlington. As you can imagine, having a project of this magnitude has generated great interest here in Arlington. It has been met with approval and at times intense disapproval. The latest look at the MBTA Communities draft map took place last week, less than a month before an all-important September 11th redevelopment board hearing.
The MBTA Communities Working Group's last meeting took place on Tuesday, August the 15th at the Arlington Police Station. Arlington Redevelopment Board members say having these multifamily housing locations identified is necessary in order to comply with Massachusetts state law. Arlington is one of nearly 180 Bay State municipalities classified as an MBTA community and therefore is expected to have at least one zoning district of reasonable size in which multifamily housing is permitted as of right. Areas under consideration include Mass Ave and Broadway in the Arlington Center area. Based on the presentation, Arlington is currently looking at rezoning roughly 3 times the number of the state-mandated minimum, which would be a little more than 2,000. One town meeting member questions the working group's process in terms of optics and also representation.
So many times when you try to form a study committee in town, there's a lot of insistence that it be representative of a cross-section, that it be neutral in some way. This is not a neutral working group. This is a working group that seems to me to be very pro-development. There's somebody on there who's a real estate developer, as I said, a couple of architects. So I just don't think that there's enough representation.
Before the working group meeting at the police station, nearly 150 people turned up here at Town Hall late last month to voice their approval or disapproval for the draft map, which has undergone multiple iterations in recent months. Earlier this month, ACMi's James Milan talked to Claire Ricker, Arlington's Director of Planning and Community Development, who said the July 25th meeting here was a great chance for the public to interact with the working group and keep everyone up to date on the amount of hours the MBTA Communities Working Group is actually putting into this massive project.
It was an extremely productive meeting. We had a great conversation. We heard from a lot of people, their concerns about MBTA communities, certainly some of their fears, and some responses about the data that we had shown and that we had provided. And I think, as an outcome of that meeting, we really pointed people towards the data that we've been using, the model that we've been using, which is publicly available on the state website. And folks are, I think, starting to work the model themselves and, really see what we've been up against for the past year in trying to plan this zone.
It appeared many residents were opposed to the plan for several reasons, and some residents have been very vocal over one chief issue in particular, over the number of additional living units that eventually could be built in Arlington. These speakers urged zoning for only the minimum number of units required.
The real deadline isn't until the end of next year. It isn't until December of 2024. And I feel that this is such a far-reaching and such an impactful change that Arlington is, in terms of zoning policy, is about to deploy on various neighborhoods, that we really should take our time and give it thought and allow more stakeholders to participate in the decisions that are made.
Everything that's been discussed, everything that we've worked on is available on the website, along with FAQs, memos, all sorts of things that sort of explain, where, why, and how the town intends to do this. So the information is there, certainly, and there's a lot of it, but it's all there, and people should absolutely take a look at what we have and take a look at the work that's been done.
Now, as reported, the working group continues to review and revise the map in advance of the Redevelopment Board hearing come September the 11th. The proposed multifamily zone is expected to go before a vote at special town meeting in the month of October. Also, members of the working group will be attending a variety of events throughout Arlington where they're looking to meet and speak with as many community members as possible. This, of course, is a lot of information to digest. You can find out much more about this major process by going to the town website, arlingtonma.gov. Once again, the website is arlingtonma.gov. For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes.
You can find some working group members at the Arlington Farmers Market on August 30th and September 6th, Arlington Eats, the concert series at the Reservoir, the Saturday Beer Gardens at the Jason Russell House, and many more locations. Just go to arlingtonma.gov for the latest information on the MBTA Communities Project.
eliminating parking spaces and slowing down traffic on Medford Street to make way for some much-needed bike lanes was one topic of discussion at the town's select board meeting on August 14th, all in an effort to increase safety along that corridor, which motorists, sometimes speeding motorists, share with bicyclists and pedestrians. Here's ACMi News Director Jeff Barnes with an update.
The Arlington Select Board has unanimously approved installing bike lanes and removing on-street parking here on Medford Street from Warren Street to the Mystic Valley Parkway by sometime this autumn. That according to the town website. Town Senior Transportation Planner John Alessi said at the August 14th Select Board meeting that parking use in this area is low. So this is a great opportunity to improve the safety for hundreds of bicyclists who use this corridor daily. Alessi also says installing bicycle lanes on both sides of Medford Street will improve bicycle safety, create better transportation options, slow down vehicles on Medford Street, and link to the nearly complete Chestnut Street Safety Project and the future Mystic Valley Parkway connection to the Minuteman Bikeway. He also added during his PowerPoint presentation that it will also meet the goals of the Connect Arlington plan to create more low-stress bicycle facilities throughout the town of Arlington.
If implemented, Chestnut Street and Medford Street will be a half-mile corridor of bike lanes that provide increased mobility for our residents who would like to bike while narrowing the roadway to calm traffic and increase safety for all roadway users.
The proposed bike lanes date to the fall of 2022 when a Department of Planning and Community Development survey concluded that parking along Medford Street here is very low, and specifically that the number of parking spaces occupied on average never exceeds more than just 10% of the 77 available parking spaces along this corridor. Also, data collected by an outside contractor in May of 22 showed an average of 200 bikes per day, which is a lot of bicycles, without any bicycle lanes. After Mr. Alessi's presentation on August the 14th, the Select Board liked what they heard.
I appreciate the work that you've done on this and the additional investigation that may take place, and as I said, happy to support it.
Thank you, Mr. DeCourcy, and I'll add my voice of support as well. I did a little field work yesterday. I took my trusty e-bike to Medford Street and gave it a tour, and you know that was a Sunday with little traffic, and even then I really would have been very glad to be in a bike lane because of the traffic coming through in the width of that. So in addition, you know, as a cyclist, I certainly appreciate this addition to our cycling infrastructure, but I think just as other speakers have noted, including Mr. Barr, that narrowing that roadway, and you yourself said, you know, can really benefit safety for everybody, including pedestrians, by just the psychological effect that we have in that. So I think it's a win all around. I'm delighted that my board colleagues are cognizant of the Connect Arlington plan that we did adopt this board 2 years ago, and I think this is a tremendous addition to that, and will be an investment in the future for exciting connections that are happening and are going to be in place.
Longtime Select Board member Diane Mahan added, quote, "We would be negligent if we did not approve this," end quote. During the open forum section of the meeting, one resident said, "The road is wide enough for bike lanes, and all residents along this stretch of road here on Medford Street have driveways, and that there are numerous experiences of cars simply driving too fast along here and too close to bicyclists." To see the Select Board meeting in its entirety, just go to the ACMi website, acmi.tv. Again, that's acmi.tv. And to hear much more about the proposed bike lanes along Medford Street here, just go to the town website, arlingtonma.gov. That, again, is arlingtonma.gov. For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes.
Open registration has just closed for Arlington's first ever Civic Academy, set for this fall. The Academy aims to include up to 20 people, and those participating will be learning how the town works and what they can do to take part in the governing process. Each course will provide an overview of government operations, led by town leaders, with a discussion or a hands-on activity. This also opens the door for residents wishing to take part in either town meeting and/or town committees. The Civic Academy is set to meet once a week for 2 hours, over a 6-week period beginning September 14th and ending October 19th. Light refreshments will also be served. Childcare services will be provided. Town publicist Joan Roman told Your Arlington recently that town staff members are working to make this an informative and interactive educational experience for everyone taking part.
As you may already know, Arlington has a new town manager. James Feeney took over the helm after Sandy Pooler retired earlier this month, and you can imagine Feeney's already hit the ground running. Mr. Feeney had time to stop by our Studio A to talk about what direction he'd like to see Arlington go in the not too distant future.
It's an honor and a privilege, but I also recognize that I work for a community, right? And we have an elected select board who really serves as the primary policy-making body in town, and we also have, a legislative body in town meeting that also helps set the direction and course of town. So I say that to acknowledge that it really is a collaborative process. I look forward to sitting down with the select board, likely sometime in the near future with, both of my deputies to sit with the select board and really go through a fairly iterative process to determine what our goals are going to be and sort of what the vision is for implementing those goals. I think that, Arlington has long been well managed and we're on a great trajectory. And I think it's sort of my job to work with our staff to keep things on track and moving in the right direction. Having worked on the operations side of things for so long, I find myself often hyper-focused on just service delivery and meeting our residents' expectations, and how every day we need to look at what we do and try to figure out how we can do it more effectively and more efficiently and hopefully even more cost effectively.
You are clearly a doer, as again, your description of your work history here in Arlington and the fact that you have been almost an MVP in terms of your versatility. There's a gap open somewhere. Hey, let's let Jim deal with that. So clearly you have also, that has made you familiar with what's challenging and can be challenging about being a town official here and a leader. So talk to us about the challenges of running or helping to run the town of Arlington.
It's certainly not an easy job, but it is a very rewarding job. And I think that here in Arlington, and for good reason, our residents demand really high quality services on a daily basis. And right, it is our jobs as public servants to deliver on that. And I think that, one of the challenges we face here in Arlington and that, municipalities elsewhere are facing is that the costs to deliver those services continue to rise, and that forces us to be creative and work more efficiently and effectively so that we can continue to deliver those services. And one of the other big challenges that seems to be hitting the municipal marketplace and perhaps other industries is just hiring and retaining talented people to fill the various roles we have across the organization, right? It's local, it's government, but government, it's made up of people. So we've got to have a really solid team of people, and there are certain professions and trades that we're really, struggling to get people in the door and on the team.
You can see Jim Feeney's interview with ACMi's James Millan in its entirety. Just go to our website, acmi.tv. Again, that's acmi.tv. ACMi is currently partnering with the Cyrus Dallin Art Museum to piece together a major project which focuses on one of Arlington's favorite sons, the world-renowned sculptor Cyrus Dallin. For the next few weeks, we will be producing an oral histories program, area residents reading first-hand accounts of people who came in contact with this master artist and have a fascinating story to tell. Here's a sample of our project about a long ago creation of Dallin's that linked the states of Utah, his birthplace, and Massachusetts, his adoptive home. It's a story that was told at Christmas time.
This is the time of year in which people think of angels a little more than usual. In keeping with the spirit of this special holiday season, I thought I would write about one angel of particular interest to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you are familiar with what Massachusetts and Utah share culturally, then you may have already guessed that I am talking about the angel Moroni. Cyrus Dallin was born in Springville, Utah on November 22, 1861. His parents had joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in England and emigrated to Utah and eventually left the church and became Presbyterian. Cyrus was very talented, and as a teen he would sketch and work with clay. One day a few men from Boston who were working near his father's silver mine noticed his excellent craftsmanship. They suggested Cyrus go to Boston and study with an artist on Tremont Street, which he did. Things were not turning out as he had planned. The artist and he did not agree, and he left the studio and became a starving artist. He eventually began to work in terracotta factory in Quincy. With scraps of terracotta, he began to sculpt panthers from a sketch he made from a famous painting he once saw. People began admiring the panthers, and before long he was selling them. A popular philanthropist in Boston at the time was impressed with Cyrus Dallin's talent and paid for him to go to Paris and study. After 2 years, Cyrus returned to Boston and spent the remainder of his life visiting Utah on occasion. He entered a sculpture in the World Fair in 1893 and won a gold medal for his work. Its name was Signal of Peace, and it resides in Chicago's Lincoln Park. His career was respectfully underway. President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, William Woodruff, knew that Cyrus's parents used to be members of the church, and he approached Cyrus Dallin about sculpting the angel Moroni to be placed atop the Salt Lake City temple. Cyrus declined, saying, "I don't believe in angels." His mother encouraged him to accept the commission and reminded him that he must believe in angels since he referred to his mother as his angel mother. He began studying the scriptures for inspiration. His design was a dignified neoclassical angel in robe and cap, standing upright with a trumpet in hand. The original 1-meter plaster model was completed in October 1891, and a full-size model was sent to Salem, Ohio, where the statue was hammered out of copper and covered with 22-karat gold leaf. The 3.8-meter statue stands on a stone ball on the 64-meter center spire on the east side. He is quoted as saying, "I consider that my angel Moroni brought me nearer to God than anything I ever did." He also said, "It seemed to me that I came to know what it means to commune with angels from heaven." Cyrus Dallin made his home in Arlington, Mass., less than 1 mile from where the Boston, Massachusetts temple stands today. Since Massachusetts and Utah share a legacy of this gifted artist, the church had another angel Moroni made from the original mold to adorn the Boston temple. Both places he called home not only share the angel Moroni, but several of his other works as well. In Utah, there is a statue of the Native American Chief Massasoit in front of the State House in Salt Lake City, which is a replica of the one in Plymouth. The large statue in the center of Salt Lake City of Brigham Young, with different scenes on each side, one depicting a trapper, is also a work of Cyrus Dallin. A few famous pieces in Boston include the statue of the Native American on a horse with his arms stretched out wide, the Appeal to the Great Spirit, located in front of the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. The famous statue of Paul Revere in Boston's North End. Dallin's final artistic achievement was to see that Revere statue in its proper place before his death. There is a Cyrus Dallin Museum in Arlington, Mass., open to the public, and admission is by donation. The church donated an original copy of the mold of Angel Moroni to the museum, and by written request of a local firefighter and a friend of his, who are members of the church made a financial contribution as well. The Cyrus Dallin Museum was very excited to have Dallin's Angel Moroni chosen for the Boston Temple. When the temple was being built, plans were underway to have a copy of the original sculpture in gold leaf on display in the garden of the museum until it would be placed on top of the steeple. However, those plans were changed to ensure the integrity of the statue when the statue and the steeple were met with such strong opposition. The museum understood and was saddened by the reaction by its neighbors and of the church in Belmont, Mass. In 1944, at the age of 82, Cyrus died at his home in Arlington Heights, Mass. The Springville Museum quotes the following: "The sculptor is often remembered for his words he spoke on his final trip west in 1942. I have received 2 college degrees besides medals galore, but my greatest honor of all is that I came from Utah."
Arlington is so fortunate to have this museum right here in town at 611 Mass Ave. Few museums in the world are located in the town where the artist actually lived and worked. We are among the select few.
The old Schwamb mill featured its last concert of the summer season earlier this month, which featured the Heatons, an incredibly talented musical couple who played different musical genres, such as Irish, surf, and even children's music. And in this concert, they played a catchy tune that was perfect beneath Arlington's blue suburban skies.
Shelter in the middle of the roundabout. A pretty nurse is selling copies from my tray, and though she feels as if she's in a play, she is anyway. Penny Lane, the barber shaves another customer. You see the banker sitting waiting for a trim, and then the fireman rushes in from the corridor. Very strange. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. There beneath the blue suburban skies, I sit and meanwhile back. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. There beneath the blue suburban skies.
The Heatons, and a splendid time was guaranteed for all. And we want to thank videographer John Harrison for sending us this video.
That'll do it for this week's edition of ACMi News. I'm TJ Brosnan.
And I'm Lauren Cochio. Thanks so much for joining us. Do you want to see how we put together the newscast here in Arlington?
Stop by and pay us a visit at 85 Park Ave on Thursday afternoons between 3 and 5 p.m. And if you have any news tips for us, stay tuned. In just a few seconds, you'll find out how.
And we'll see you back here next week. Take care.
Goodbye.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.